So welcome back. All right, so what are some of the stuff that we're going to cover, right? What are some of the technologies that we're going to use, all right? Like I said, I'm not going to go over the setting up and everything, but I do want you to at least go to these websites or applications or whatever and have them already set up in your browser in a tab somewhere, because we're going to keep referring to them, and so might as well just already have them there. Okay, so Visual Studio is what I have, but any editor of your choice, right? In my case, Visual Studio, you can use whatever you want. We're going to use, I'm going to go ahead and bring my tab over here. More likely we're going to use Hero Icons, and we are going to use Tailwind CSS for this application. Now, one thing that I can tell you about Tailwind CSS is that they are not free for code reviews, not code reviews, but code samples. So like if you go to do I have an app open somewhere? No? Alright, okay. So if you go to Tailwind UI, okay, you will be able to see samples of all the components that they have, right? And that's great. You can use them. But only if you paid like $157, I think it is right now at this time. I ended up paying for it because I do this for a living, so it's a tax write-off for me anyway. But if you don't want to use them, you can still download the library. You can still use their library. What you cannot do, right? The only reason you need to pay the $157 for is to see the code samples that they have in HTML or React or Vue or whatever language that you are going to be using, so that you can just basically copy paste it, put it into your site, and it's already working. Okay, but if you already know what you're working, if you're already kind of familiar with how to build an HTML section, right, which will go into React as JSX, but still kind of like an HTML thing. If you're still familiar with that stuff, you don't technically need to pay their fee and see a piece of their code. You basically just just build it yourself, right? Building it yourself, you will have still access to their CSS and their JavaScript and all of that stuff. So it's up to you whether you want to make your life easier by going to their Tailwind. Let me explain to you what I mean by this. So if I go to oh my god, that was not even close to Tailwind. Let's go to Tailwind UI. Where is this? Is that it? Components? Yeah, Tailwind UI, right? So you notice this is Tailwind CSS and this is Tailwind UI. They're the same thing. They just kind of divided itself, because here you can get some help on some of the classes and stuff like that. You can research here for a class in particular, like the container class, for example, and it will give you the classes that they have. But here you can just search for actual components, like a navbar, and then it would actually tell you the actual navbar components and things like that, right? So there is a difference on how do you use these two. But I have this preview. This preview right here is actually free for everyone, okay? You notice how I'm not signed in. So because I am not signed in, I can only see the preview for this navbar alone. So I can have it in React, for example, which is what we're going to use, and then I can click code, and then it will show me the code for the navbar, and done, right? Go back to preview. However, if you wanted something like this with this button on the side, if you wanted this one, whatever, if you wanted any other variation, one with the search bar in the middle or whatever, you notice that there is only this button here, right? There isn't anything that says see the code or whatever. So when you click on it, it basically asks you, okay, so it's 149, but locals taxes, so it ended up being like 157 for me. That's how you get this stuff. I ended up getting this package right here, the application UI. I guess eventually I'll get them all, because there are extra components in these other places. Or you can just get the whole entire thing for $2.99. It saves you money, but it's a big chunk of money at once. Now, what you get with this stuff is, like, say for example, you want to see, and I'll show you what I mean by signing in, and I'm probably gonna get off screen for this one. So give me a minute here while I'll type my password that I don't want you to see. Ooh, I messed up. Okay. Oh, that's why. All right. I put the wrong email. Sorry. All right, cool. I'll bring it over. All right, so now that I am logged in, and you can see that my account and everything, so everything looks a little bit different. Now that I am signed in, if I go to the components, then now I can see, let's say go back to the nav bar again. What was that at? I'll just find it here. Nav bar. So if I go back to that nav bar that we were before, now I have the code version for all of them. So if I wanted to go to the one that we looked at before, this one, I pick the language that I want to work on, React, and I look at the code. Now I got the code for that specific one in here. Okay, so that's the only difference. You still be able to use it without paying for it by still being able to use their so let's see if they have a documentation. Do they have a doc? Yeah, of course, docs right there. So you still be able to use their Tailwind CSS latest and their headless React CSS, JavaScript, all that stuff, because none of that stuff is sort of blocked off. You're not paying money for that. What you're paying money for is the ability to be able to see the code and just copy paste it and all that stuff. Okay, so it's up to you. I ended up paying it because I like making my life easier. So, all right, so we have Tailwind, we have hero icons that we're going to be using, and that's pretty much all we're going to use. Okay, we're not going to use any other stuff. Everything else we're going to build it from scratch. Now, for those of you who don't like, I still want to give you an basically a look into what happened. Oh, because I'm in the wrong thing. Material UI, there we go. Alright, for those of you who don't like Firebase and want to go to another free route that is still a very solid library, consider Material UI. I've been using Material UI for years and it's never led me astray. It's actually pretty good. It's pretty solid. It has a lot of stuff off the back that you can use, and the components are free to look at. So you go to the button here, say all the buttons, and then you can see the code that they're using, or you can expand the code to see everything with imports and all that in TypeScript or JavaScript. And this one is pretty solid just as well. So if you want to go that way, I'm not going to show you how to do it, but if you want to do it, just make sure that you go through the installation process in here and you have the right installs. By the way, we're going to be using PnP, so make sure that you use this. Okay, so that's a new thing in the market. Not new thing, but kind of new thing. But it's super fast, so I use that now. But so just make sure you go through all this stuff right here, and then pay attention to everything that it's saying. Look for another tutorial out there, or including my own tutorial that I have in this channel that is specifically for Material UI, and I think it's a lot of people loved it. So all right, I'm gonna cut this short because this one was just basically talking about the stack that we're gonna use, and I'll see you guys in the next one.